Kennedy,
Governor Bowman.
the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
You're a fine American.
Thank you.
You still have to pay your taxes, though.
I do.
On May 1st now because
I
of
understand.
Hurricane Helene.
I got an
Thank you.
extension on mine.
I'm very excited about that. I'll extend to you 30 seconds for this
Thank you.
colloquy.
Governor Bowman, briefly, if you will, because we've got to go vote. What's the Basel III Endgame?
It's an international agreement of different countries that participate in the Basel Accords
What's its objective?
to ensure that there's parity across jurisdictions for financial regulation and a level playing field.
It calls for more regulation of American banks, doesn't it?
In some cases, it does, yes.
Your predecessor, Mr. Barr, loved Basel III Endgame like the devil loves sin, didn't he?
Welcome back to American Mindset, the channel where we defend freedom, honor our values, and call out the nonsense that threatens the principles this great nation was built on. And if you're here, it's probably because you care deeply about accountability, fairness, and protecting the hard-earned money of American taxpayers. You know, the kind of stuff that makes our country great in the first place. Today, we're diving into a Senate hearing where Senator John Kennedy brought up some serious concerns about the International Monetary Fund and a little something called Basel III. Now, don't let the jargon scare you. This is about something we should all care about: how our government spends our money and who's benefiting from it.
He embraced it in his proposal.
He bear hugged it. He French kissed it. What problem are we trying to solve with Basel III Endgame?
The original proposal was intended
No,
to increase
Mr. Barr's
capital.
proposal.
Right.
What problem are we trying to solve? We have stress tests right now for banks, right?
That's absolutely correct.
And we have capital standards, right?
We do.
What's broken about it?
I think we'll need to take a fresh look at the last Basel agreement and determine what's appropriate for U.S. banks and their ability to have a level playing field across around the world.
Well, let me put it another way. Washington has this propensity, when something's not broken, is to take it apart and loosen a few screws so that it will be. Now, if there's some problem that we're trying to solve with adopting these international standards, I'd like to know it. I asked that repeatedly of Mr. Barr, and he never could. I mean, he was and is. I like him very much, very smart. He's also a silver-tongued devil. He could talk a dog off a meat wagon. And he never answered that question. And so it seems to me that what the Board of Governors has to do is come back and tell us what's broken. Let me ask Mr. Fogel, what's the International Monetary Fund? Briefly, if you don't mind.
Senator, to be honest, I know what it is, but it actually isn't related to the job I've been nominated for, which is global markets at Commerce. It probably better handled by Treasury Department.
All right, that's fair. I understand a dodge when I see it. You did that pretty artfully. How about you, Mr. Hurley? I bet you know.
Yes, sir. I do know what the IMF is, and
Briefly, if you don't mind.
well, so again, it would be my colleague who will get.
You own
nominated.
the IMF. You know. I'm hoping you're not telling me you don't know what the IMF. If you're going to be in charge of terrorism and financial crimes.
So yes, sir. I'm very familiar with the IMF. It won't be. I'll have sanctions at TFI and be working with law.
The IMF loans money to other countries, right? Who puts up most of the money for the IMF?
The United States, sir.
That's right. There are about 190 countries in it, and by far we put up most, right?
Yes, sir.
What are special drawing rights?
I'm not terribly familiar with special drawing rights.
You need to get familiar.
Sir.
Special drawing right is when the IMF gets together and decides to declare a dividend to all of the countries. And it's like a dividend. It's really a sheet of paper that says any country can take these dividends, a sheet of paper, and go redeem it for the currency of any other country. And Secretary Yellen did that. She to the tune of $650 billion. And she dodged congressional approval by coming for an amount just below the trigger for us to approve it. We gave money to Iran, to Russia, to China, and we're putting up the money. Why aren't we doing that?
Are you asking me, sir?
Yes, sir.
I completely agree, sir.
Well, I've got a bill to say that whenever the Treasury catches a wild hare and decides they want to give away American taxpayer money to Iran, as Treasury Yellen did, that she has to come to Congress for approval. You'll support that, won't you?
I look forward to looking at the legislation, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On behalf of the chair, Senator Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Quasi-Chairman.
I am in charge.
That explains a lot.
Homage to
That
Al Haig.
explains a lot. Do you remember the last guy that said that?
Yeah, Al Haig.
Al Haig, yeah. Do any of the panel remember Al Haig? Okay. Glad to see a few adults.
Let's start with Basel III Endgame. It's essentially a set of international banking regulations designed to make financial systems more stable across the globe. Sound good, right? But here's the catch. It's calling for more regulation on American banks. Senator Kennedy had a great point when he asked, what exactly are we trying to fix here? After all, we already have stress tests and capital standards in place. Now, I'm no fan of unnecessary government overreach. Let's be honest. Washington has a bad habit of fixing things that aren't broken, only to create new problems. If the system isn't failing, why dismantle it? And if there is a problem, shouldn't we know what it is before moving forward? These are common sense questions that deserve answers, no matter where you fall on the political spectrum. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Senator Kennedy shifted his focus to the International Monetary Fund, better known as the IMF. For those who don't know, the IMF is an organization of nearly 190 countries that loans money to nations in financial trouble. Sounds noble, right? Well, there's a little detail you might not know. The United States puts up the most money, by far. That means you and I are footing the bill. But it gets worse. The IMF has something called special drawing rights, or SDRs. Think of it like a blank check or a dividend that countries can redeem for any currency they choose. Secretary Yellen, without seeking congressional approval, authorized $650 billion in SDRs. And guess what? Countries like Iran, Russia, and China, a trio of nations that don't exactly have America's best interests at heart, benefited from this. Now, let me ask you, does it seem fair to you that American taxpayers are indirectly funding regimes that undermine our values of freedom and democracy? I don't care if you're a conservative, a moderate, or a progressive. This should bother everyone. This isn't about left or right. This is about accountability. Senator Kennedy pointed out that Secretary Yellen strategically kept her authorization under the threshold that would require congressional approval. Let me repeat that. She avoided going to Congress. Is this how we want our government to operate? Sneaking around oversight mechanisms that were designed to protect us? I think most Americans, regardless of their political affiliation, can agree that transparency is crucial. We deserve to know where our money is going and why. Here's the bigger picture. The United States is the backbone of the global economy. We're not perfect, but we've worked hard to build a system that rewards hard work and innovation. Why should we jeopardize that by pouring money into countries that don't respect our values or our people? And listen, I'm not saying we should completely isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. Partnerships and diplomacy matter. But there's a fine line between helping others and being taken advantage of. And when it comes to the IMF, that line seems awfully blurry right now. That's why Senator Kennedy's proposal makes sense. He's working on a bill that would require the Treasury Department to get congressional approval before handing out American taxpayer money to countries like Iran. That's not radical. That's just common sense. Look, I get it. Not everyone loves Congress. But at least it gives us, the people, a say in how our money is spent. If someone in Washington wants to write a blank check to regimes that violate human rights or threaten global stability, they should have to explain themselves, not sneak it through the back door. So, where do we go from here? First, we need to demand more transparency from our leaders. Whether it's the IMF, Basel III, or any other bureaucratic institution, we have the right to know what's going on. Second, we need to hold our elected officials accountable. That means supporting policies and proposals, like Senator Kennedy's bill, that prioritize fairness and accountability over politics. And third, we need to keep having these conversations. This channel isn't about pushing one political agenda. It's about finding common ground and standing up for principles that unite us: freedom, justice, and accountability. I want to hear from you. What do you think about the IMF's role in global finance? Do you think the U.S. should continue being the biggest contributor, or is it time to rethink our involvement? And what about Basel III? Do you think it's a necessary reform, or just more unnecessary regulation for American banks? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a thoughtful discussion. No name calling, no shouting, just good old-fashioned dialogue. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Thanks for tuning in to Rising Daily Star. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Together, we can stay informed, hold our leaders accountable, and keep fighting for the values that make America the greatest country in the world. See you next time.